Greetings petrolheads, my name is Tom, you're on my gaming channel and it's time for another episode of Automation, a car company tycoon game, and today I'm gonna be reviewing another car. It is built by my good friend Leap. The link to his channel is gonna be put in the description, and it is the 1977 Bellion JNO. He says it's a car that is built around three main focuses, and those are affordability, luxury, and sportiness. So the premises, if you're looking at these stats, are not particularly strong with the total cost. The comfort and the sportiness is quite good, but let's not make a judgment call right away. But let's actually go into detail of what this car actually is. So we got a monocoque from galvanized steel in 1977. That is very modern for that time. It is front longitudinal with double wishbone, again, like very high tech for that time, and fiberglass material just as well. So it's not really that cheap to build, let's just say it like that. As far as looks are concerned, the split grille obviously reminds me of BMWs, but the lower section is kind of maybe Nissan Z car-ish, and with the headlights this into the headlight mountings here, or whatever you want to call them, that is basically classic 70s coupe like, but because they are so far in there, like they look very well protected, I'll give you that, but it does seem a little bit, the car overall looks a little bit introverted, a little bit shy, which is kind of weird for its ambitions. You can basically look at this as a sports GT car, maybe. So because it's focused on luxury, comfort, and also sportiness, he says. And yeah, the rear is quite nice, very elegant, very simple, and very much on par with its other competitors of the time, 1977. I do like this little detail here at the vent underneath the rear window, and we got a little bit of chrome on the door handles. We got some white indicators on the side here, and it is rear-wheel drive, as I would have probably expected by virtue of the fact that it is longitudinal. Where is it? There it is. Engine placement front longitudinal. So we basically only have the option of making it rear-wheel drive in 1977. So let's look at that engine. It is a 3.6 liter V8, and this looks very performance orientated for me. And we did see that it will put out 281 horsepower. We did see that like right here. And let's see what makes this engine. It is direct acting OHC, which is not out of the ordinary for that time. We got an aluminum V8. That is very futuristic for 1977, let's just say it like that. Forged steel crank, I-beam steel conrod, forged pistons, so that is quite expensive on the bottom end. We see that we have some valve float here, so it's... And the engine is running to 7,000 RPM, so it's kind of expected to have valve float at that RPM in 1977. Compression ratio of 10.0 to 1 is really high. So is the cam profile, 100. With a redline of 7,000 RPM, it's maybe a little bit overkill. It is obviously NA, we saw that. 4-barrel twin carburetor setup with performance intakes. So this is basically screaming, I am a race engine, I am a performance engine. It is running on 91 octane fuel though, regular unleaded, 66 ignition timing, and the 7000 RPM limit. Raised tubular headers, we saw those, like right here. And we have dual exhausts with 1.75 inches of diameter each, and despite the fact that we're running on unleaded fuel and have the option of a cat, this does not have one, and neither does it have mufflers. So this should be a pretty loud engine. It is. Yeah. Emissions 6,839. Nobody gives a damn about that, probably. Well, actually they do, because it's 1977 and the fuel crisis did happen in 1973. And therefore 10% flat of economy is actually hilarious. It's just like saying, oh, screw those people who want fuel economy. 4-speed manual gearbox. Interesting why you didn't choose to go for a 5-speed even though it was available, and since you've gone for a very high-tech and expensive build so far. Top speed 231, spacing of 50 just in the middle. Yeah, we may be able to optimize the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time by making this a little bit shorter, probably. 6.9. Yeah, 6.9 anyway. And we got a viscous LSD in 1977. I don't know. When was the first time a car came with a viscous LSD? I don't know when that was invented, per se. It definitely seems very high-tech for its time. Let's just be honest about that. Medium compound road tires, 15-inch rims, 205 rear tires, 195 front tires. That's nothing out of the ordinary, I think, for 1977. And obviously steel rim material because we don't have any other option. Vented discs. Vented discs in 1977. That's saying to me that you have given up with the idea of making this thing actually affordable, like cheap, and instead you went more for a GT version, for a higher class, like say a Ferrari or something like that, or an Aston Martin. And vented, even on those cars, vented discs, I don't think they were that popular yet in 1977. It's okay. As far as aerodynamics go, we got no under tray. Interesting why you decided not to use any of those. We got way too much cooling airflow. That might be one of the reasons why the fuel economy is so bad. But if you go for a cooling airflow slightly above what you actually need, you can see that by required cooling. Like here, we lowered the fuel consumption by more than 1 liter per 100 kilometers, and we are actually achieving our top speed now, which we were not with with this setup here. And I don't think you need that much brake airflow. Anyway, we got only 2 seats in there, but premium interior and luxury 8-track equipment, like entertainment. Both driver aids that are available, power steering and ABS, and standard safety. This is a little bit of a weird setup for me, because I don't... It looks kind of indecisive for me, because it is an expensive car. Why didn't you like double down on, you know, advanced safety? It's only gonna add how much cost? Something like 60-ish, and the production units are, well, that's 0.6 units longer. So I'm interested to know why. I mean, it wasn't really a cheap car to begin with, and the suspension is hydropneumatic, which is also not very cheap. It's actually the most expensive option here, and the suspension is actually, it's probably normal preset, but we do have a very good sportiness to drivability ratio, 0.94 to 0.91, and we have a slight tendency to understeer at the very edge. So that's good. That's a safe tuning. I like that. Also, the body bump graph is looking pretty good. We do see that the body in the front is set up way softer than the one in the rear, because the bump graph for the body in the rear, the light blue one, is significantly higher than the one for the body in the front, the dark blue one. Other than that, I think the suspension is quite well tuned, and overall we got a drivability 44.5, which is, we'll get to that in a second. Sportiness 31.7. You would expect this to be a little bit higher with race intakes, you know, and 100 cam profile and no mufflers. You would expect this to be a little bit higher than that. Comfort 29.6. This is exactly what I was talking about when I said no mufflers. This is gonna be a loud engine. Like loudness 87.5. that is ridiculous, and I don't fully understand your intentions with this car as far as that is concerned. Prestige 26.2 is relatively okay. It's probably a little bit boosted by the fact that we have a V8 engine in there. Safety 32.2 is pretty much where I'd expect this to be, because it is a fairly light car, 960 kilograms, and we only have standard safety features. So I don't really know what kind of market this car is aimed at, because it won't really compete with Europe's cars, mainly because the engine is a small V8, and that was, firstly, that was not very popular back then, and secondly, if it's gonna be a small V8, why does it use so much fuel? And also, it is not the most sporty car. 7 seconds 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time is good though for 1977. However, with 281 horsepower you would expect a little bit more. And what this mainly comes down to, as well as the drivability, is this 53.8% wheel spin. Like, even with the viscous LSD, that is too much. Yeah, it's only got, like, guys, if you want an awesome car for some big burnouts, this is it. 205 rear tires and 281 horsepower from a V8 engine. Let's go back to that engine though. We do have valve float, which is causing some problems in terms of reliability, and I don't really know what kind of market this would compete in, because in America you had the Corvette with the 5.7 liter and also a 7 liter option. The 5.7 liter was not as powerful as this engine, I admit that, but at the same time this engine has no bottom end torque. It just doesn't have one. The torque really only comes to show in from 4,500 RPM, but then it only revs to 7,000, and in the bottom end there's not that much of it. So what would help is if you'd increase the engine capacity, and let's be honest, there's plenty of space underneath that bonnet. Yeah, there's still plenty of space. You can easily fit like a 5 liter in there or something like that. But then again, it's a post-fuel crisis. So, yeah, and that is why I'm struggling to really find a place in the market for this car, because I'm struggling to find one convincing argument that would sell this car to the people. If you want power, there's the Corvette, and there's, you know, if you live in the European regions, you can buy a Porsche 911, or you could buy an Aston Martin, which is also a very nice, comfortable cruiser, and so on. This is fast, okay, but not that fast in terms of top speed. It's not that far ahead of the Porsche 911 from back then, which would reach like 210, 215 kilometers an hour. But it does have a good amount more power, and also it uses just so much more fuel. So it's kind of, people would go like, oh, this is not a very refined car, and I kind of agree with that. Also, the total cost of 9,711 is not really what I would consider affordable, and especially with the, actually the service costs are not that bad. I was expecting more than 1,893. Yeah. And what was it that you think made that car affordable when it has 25 liters of fuel usage per 100 kilometers? Think about that for a second. Every 4 kilometers with moderate driving would use 1 liter of fuel. Like, that's just ridiculous. And I don't think it fits its time very well, the post-fuel crisis time. And I mean, if this was like 1971, before the fuel crisis, it would probably stand a little bit prouder and have a little bit of market share on the American market. However, as is, I don't think it's all that convincing as a total package. Because if it was aimed towards the GT market with the, as you said, with the luxury equipment, and as we saw right there, luxury entertainment, premium interior, then the comfort should definitely be higher. Let's just see how much of an impact it would make if we went for double reverse flow mufflers. Loudness would go down to 42, and comfort would go up to 33.6. That's quite a bit better, but still wouldn't be really what people would be looking for in a GT car. So overall, how would I rate this car? I'm sorry, I don't really see what it would compete with and what kind of people would buy it. So I don't think it would be very successful. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review video. If you did, please click the like button, it helps out a great deal. Also consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more content in the future, and also subscribe to Leap's channel if you want to see more of his videos in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.